It's so important in this ministry to keep a proper balance. Everything is not a demon. Every problem is not a demonic problem. You know, we still have the flesh to deal with. There's still such a thing as carnality. And the Scripture says the way to deal with the flesh is to crucify it, to put it to death, not to let it have its way and not let it take priority over the spirit man. So there's a way to deal with the flesh and with the appetites of the flesh. Put it to death. Do not give it any place. The way you deal with a demon is to cast it out. That's the way the Bible says you deal with a demon. In Galatians chapter 6, well, first of all, let's look in chapter 5 to get the setting of this. In Galatians chapter 5, it says in verse 19, "Now the works of the flesh are manifest." Notice it didn't say the works of demons, but the works of the flesh. And it begins to catalog them. Adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, and on the list goes. Now you would think that if anything is demonic, it ought to be idolatry and witchcraft. In fact, we cast out demons regularly by all of the names that are listed here. But he didn't say these were the names of demons. He said these were the works of the flesh. You see, when we do the works of the flesh, another word for it is sin. We've committed sin. We've trespassed against the laws of God. And this is what opens the door of opportunity for evil spirits to indwell us, to have a gateway of entrance into our lives and into our bodies. Let's go on over into chapter 6 and verse 8. And this ties right in with what we've just read in chapter 5. It says, "For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption." What's another word for corruption? Dead flesh. What do you know about dead flesh? Suppose a week ago a cow has dropped dead out there in the pasture. And you begin to walk up to that animal that has fallen out there in the pasture and is dead, been dead there for a week. You're going to sense something, aren't you? It's going to smell bad, doesn't it? It's going to stink, doesn't it? You say, "Man, I don't want to be around this thing." You begin to back off. But you notice that there's some black buzzards and they're circling because a banquet table has been set for them. They're not repulsed by that. They're attracted by that. They're drawn to that. And they said, "Oh boy, I hear the dinner bell ringing." And you know, this is such an accurate illustration of any of our lives. When we continually yield the members of our body to sin, when we violate the commandments of God, when we become rebellious and say, "I'm going to do it my way, I don't care what God says," then we're doing the works of the flesh. We're doing the works of adultery and fornication and uncleanness and idolatry and hatred and strife and heresies and all the other things that are listed there. And when we do the works of the flesh, we are sowing to the flesh. And when we sow to the flesh, there will eventually be a crop and a harvest that will come forth. And the end result of that sowing to the flesh is corruption. And whenever there is corruption, there are things that feed. There are spiritual predators, like spiritual buzzards, that feed on dead flesh. And they're called unclean spirits. 25 times in the New Testament, demons are referred to as unclean spirits. So you can think of them as a spiritual buzzard. And they are attracted to our lives by the unclean things that sin produces within us.